Hi guys, JT here, and today I'll be bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle Serious Sam Bundle of September 2022. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? I'm going to split this video up into two as there's a lot to cover with a massive bundle like this. If you want to know more about game deals, then feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps the channel out. So let's get into this. At number 1 we have Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem. A first-person shooter game that is not at all about the story, like other Serious Sam games. This game started out as a mod for Serious Sam 4 before the developers became so impressed by it they published it as a standalone game. You play as Sam Serious Stone, the titular main protagonist of the Serious Sam series, and you're in Siberia, in an alternate universe of Serious Sam 4, in between two of the last levels from the game, and you're following up on the lead on the Holy Grail. Okay, Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem isn't about the story. The story and characters are very forgettable, and if you skip all cutscenes, you will still have a good time with Serious Sam. Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem plays like a classic arena shooter like Doom. You have to get from point A to point B while you hang on to all of your available weapons, changing them on the fly, shooting and killing waves and waves upon enemies. The enemies are quite varied and each will require different weapons and tactics to kill, but most of the time you'll just be mindlessly shooting hundreds of enemies, charging at you at once. Like classic Doom, you have to find and collect health packs as this game doesn't feature a self-regeneration like most modern shooters. You can also collect special orbs which will grant you ability points which you can spend on upgrading special abilities like dual-wielding weapons, a healing punch, or even the skill Born to Run, which allows you to fire and reload while sprinting. There are 5 levels in this game that will take you over an hour to complete per level, but if you take the time to explore, finding secrets and completing side quests, this time stretches longer. You can also encounter bosses which are quite challenging. If things get too tough, you can jump into co-op with 3 other friends to play and complete the campaign together. It is definitely more fun with friends as you kill waves and waves of enemies together. Even though the graphics, story, characters and puns aren't very good, if you have friends to play with or if you like to kill waves upon waves of enemies, then you might like Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem. At number 2 we have Serious Sam Tormental, a roguelike twin-stick shooter featuring Serious Sam. The story goes like this: Sam is sucked into Mental's twisted mind. In case you didn't know, Mental is the recurring antagonist of the Serious Sam game series. Even though you're in his mind, Mental's projected characters have free will and some even outright hate him. Sam has to find 32 black keys with their help to unlock power-ups in a vault to break out of Mental's mind prison. First of all, the art style of the game is very colorful and fits right into Sam's not at all serious personality. Being a roguelike, you will blast your way through procedurally generated levels across 4 different biomes. Each biome has its own look, enemies, and bosses. Each biome will end with a boss fight, and as you defeat each boss, the game gets tougher the next time you revisit the biome. Upon defeating the boss, you can visit the next biome, and so forth. You have 2 options of weapons. One is your primary weapon, which stays with you every run and can be upgraded at the end of each run. The other are serious weapons, which are powerful weapons which you can find on your runs. The serious weapons have limited ammo, but they are also more powerful than your primary weapons, so it balances out. They're also really fun to use and a gun sounds very punchy and satisfying. If you get bored of Sam, you can play as other characters that you can find throughout your adventure, and each of them come with their own special abilities and bonuses. The issue is that the bosses are always the same at the end of each biome. It would have been great if there are more boss varieties, but if you like roguelikes and Serious Sam, you need to give Serious Sam Tormental a try. At number 3 we have Serious Sam 4, the prequel entry to Serious Sam 3, taking place in Russia. A massive portal opens, allowing Mental's alien armies to teleport to Earth, starting the Mental War. You and your band of mercenaries, the Earth Defense Force, travels to Rome to meet up with Father Mikhail, a priest who claims to know the location of the Holy Grail sealed inside the Ark of the Covenant, a powerful alien artifact that can help humanity win the war against the aliens. As per Siberian Mayhem, it is like an old school mindless shooter, shooting alien heads off and watching their blood and guts splatter all over your screen. This game features crazy weapons, big ass maps, and a wide variety of enemies. You have to use the right tools, movement patterns, and tactics when facing the different enemies. They are a bit like puzzles. There are 3 main levels in this game, and while that doesn't seem like much, each level breaks into multiple chapters, each with their own simple objectives. There are also side objectives that you can complete to find things, secrets, and meet other characters while mowing down enemies as you go, and you will be rewarded with extra weapons, upgrades, and gadgets, making the side objectives worth playing through. This game can have thousands of enemies on the screen shooting at you, and your team shooting at them, and it can get quite chaotic, which is fun as hell. But it's just unfortunate that these sections are few and far in between. You can unlock attachments for your weapons like a grenade launcher that can attach to your shotgun. You can also use special items like decoys to lure enemies away or a rage potion. There's also a skill tree like in Siberian Mayhem with similar skills. Serious Sam 4 is clearly a video game, and the idea is just to have fun, popping heads off aliens in the bloodiest, goriest manner with no care for the story or characters. And number 4 we have I Hate Running Backwards, an adrenaline-filled shoot-'em-down roguelite that mashes characters from the different franchises by Devolver Digital. What started as a minigame in Serious Sam games became a full-fledged game of its own. You and your friends at the Devolver Digital franchise get stuck in a mixed time-space continuum, and you have to battle your way through different time periods to destroy Mental's minions. As per always, story isn't really a thing in Sam's games. This time it's about the different mashup of characters in one game. You have Sam from Serious Sam, Luo Wang from Shadow Warrior, the Chicken Guy from Hotline Miami, and characters from Enter the Gungeon, with many more to unlock as you play the game. The gameplay is slightly different from your average top-down shoot-'em-up, as the map moves upwards and you're running backwards as enemies rush at you. Each of the characters have their own weapons and special abilities, like Sam has access to a Tommy gun and shotgun while Luo Wang has access to an SMG and a double barrel. If enemies get too close, you could swing at them with your melee attacks. While on the field, you could collect time-limited power-ups like infinite ammo or a shield. As you kill monsters, you build a meter that once filled allows you to unleash your special moves, which once again, special to each character, like turning into a disco ball to trample over your enemies. Maps are procedurally generated, and sometimes you get into minigame sections, where you're driving a truck or flying a helicopter instead of running backwards. There are tons of enemies in this game, charging at you at once, so it can get quite hectic. Bosses in this game are tough, and will see you use skills you have not used elsewhere, but having a co-op partner really helps curb that difficulty. However, you may be fighting each other for ammo. Some complaints in this game are the unclear unlock goals to unlock characters, and a scrolling speed that is too slow to keep up with the pace of the chaotic combat. But if you like a bullet hell game, or if you have been playing some Devolver Digital games and would love to see a mashup of your favorite Devolver characters, then you might like I Hate Running Backwards. And number 5 we have Serious Sam's Bogus Detour, an action-adventure top-down shooter game that is pretty much a Serious Sam game, but it is a top-down shooter. You once again play as Sam, and you have retrieved an item from the Temple of Ptah, which Sam will need in the game Serious Sam the First Encounter. Anyway, you fight some of Mental's forces while exiting the temple, and then you encounter a race of mutants called orcs. You soon find out that Mental is planning to overthrow Earth as part of his plan to wipe out humanity in the past. Right off the bat, this game is really fun, especially if you have a co-op partner. You can play the campaign either single player or up to 3 other players running around shooting everything you set your pixel sights on. There are a total of 10 levels in this game, running across absolutely ginormous maps, with each map easily taking over an hour to complete. The level design is really good, and it will ensure that you will actually take the time to think about your approach, because there is always an easier way to kill your enemies rather than going in blind and shooting everything. As per other Serious Sam games, the classic Doom formula still applies, but in top-down view. You have to find keys for doors and occasionally backtrack through the map. There is also a perk system which you can use to upgrade your combat abilities, survivability, or your weapons. Speaking of weapons, there are a ton of weapons in this game, from dual pistols, shotguns, rocket launchers, big-ass cannons, all the way through to laser guns. You can also upgrade these weapons like increasing the ammo capacity or even narrowing the spread of your shotgun. The gunplay is really satisfying with its fast-paced shooting and movements, and the crazy amount of enemies and bullets flying everywhere. There's plenty of content and several game modes like Versus, Survival Mode where you survive against waves and waves of enemies, and a Campaign Mode where you can play either solo or with co-op partners mentioned above. As an added bonus, there's a level editor and also access to Steam Workshop. This game has a ton of content and the gunplay is so fun and satisfying that I highly recommend that you try Serious Sam's Bogus Detour. And number 6 we have Serious Sam 3 BFE and its DLCs. Another first-person shooter game set before the events of the first game, The First Encounter, thus the name BFE, before First Encounter. In this game, you once again play as Sam, and Sam is trying to figure out how does one like himself get sent back in time to stop the aliens of Lord Mental. By now you should know who Lord Mental is, the antagonist of the Serious Sam series. Again, this game is not too serious, and story is very forgettable. You're here to kill stuff. There are 12 levels in the base game, and 3 additional levels in the DLC. Most of these levels are massive, but some of them do fit you into tight corners, which is not ideal in a Serious Sam game where you are supposedly constantly strafing and blowing things up and splattering their blood everywhere. As always, there are plenty of different enemies to kill, each of their own weaknesses and methods of killing them. Waves and waves of enemies from cyclopic fanged gorillas and skeletal chain-throwing horses to giant scorpions with miniguns for arms and headless sprinting bomb-fisted kamikaze soldiers, all screaming loudly as they charge at you. And as always, you'll be there with your arsenal of weapons ready to blow them up to pieces. The campaign is definitely more fun with friends, as playing alone it does feel kinda slow, especially at the start of the game. The game does get progressively better as you play, but the whole main campaign experience just feels very subpar. Sometimes you run low on ammo, and sometimes the game takes your weapons away from you, both of which are not the essence of what the Serious Sam game is. You're supposed to be a walking, running arsenal of weapons ready to kick some alien arse all the time. The main campaign is definitely more fun and co-op. The maps are very bland with not so much color in their palette. Lots of sand, 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 and grey, grey, grey. The DLC, Jewel of the Nile, is definitely a huge improvement, where you are thrown into a big open area from the start with waves and waves of monsters running and screaming at you. And you have access to the shotgun, rocket launcher, and the DLC exclusive sniper from the start, so it does feel much faster paced than the main game. In addition, the massive DLC boss is also great to fight against. Serious Sam 3 BFE lets you down by a slow campaign, but the DLC could be its saving grace. So if you like mowing down droves of enemies in a world of sand, then I would give this game a try. And number 7 we have Serious Sam 2. And once again, it's all about the shooting and blowing alien guts up whenever they charge and scream at you. The story picks up after the end of Serious Sam, the second encounter, where you're told Tormental will be vulnerable if you collect the 5 pieces of an ancient medallion. So that's what you'll do for the entirety of the game, killing aliens, blowing things up, and collecting these medallions. The action is fast and intense from start to finish. There are a few puzzles peppered around the vibrant maps, but they aren't very challenging to solve. This is a Serious Sam game after all, and it isn't about the puzzles but the mayhem that you can bring upon the alien species. The levels are almost always very linear, and when hundreds of enemies are swarming at you, you know that this is the right way to go. You will have access to a variety of weapons, and that includes a double-barrel shotgun, the chain gun, and the rocket gun. Some special weapons are available, like the parrot bomb that chases enemies down, and the sniper rifles to pick off enemies from afar, but those situations are far in between. There is never a second in this game where you will not shoot at everything around you. There are a wide variety of enemies, and some of them are quite funny, like zombie stockbrokers, wind-up rhinos to giant robot spiders, each of their own attack styles. These aliens can get quite dangerous in numbers, and you will be constantly thinning them out. This game also contains vehicles which you can use, like hover cars and spinning spike pods to stab your enemies to death with. If you like the old school shooters, shooting down waves upon waves of enemies, then Serious Sam 2 might be for you. And that's all for part 1 of the Serious Sam bundle. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in part 2 of this video.